Fear and competition can be your best friend.
Season 3 of the Little Bricks podcast is back. We've got some amazing guests. Can't wait for you to see them. We're going to be speaking mental health, addiction, recovery, sales, business, sports, all sorts of topics. Distraction kills dreams. With the people you spend time with, you will become. Tough times don't ever last, but tough people do. I cannot wait to share it with you.
This week's episode of the Little Bricks podcast is sponsored by Bespoke Financial Group, the UK's #1 life insurance broker, helping protect your little bricks too.
Welcome to the Little Bricks podcast. Thanks for coming on, Andy.
My pleasure.
How are you?
I'm good, yeah. Yeah, it's nice to be on.
Good for you, mate. Good. How's family?
Yeah, all good, yeah. Yeah, been a tough time, but no, it's family's good. Most important part of your life, isn't it?
God bless it is. You're a close-knit family.
Listen, family's always been there for me. I've always been there for them. So it's for me. It's what you live your life for.
Of course it is, mate. Yeah, of course it is. How many children you got?
Got 3 girls.
3. Wow.
18 next month, 6 and 2. So I'm starting all over again. Yeah.
Hard work. Yeah, I've got 3. It's a challenge, isn't it?
It is, yeah. But I think nobody ever gets ready to be a dad, and then all of a sudden it happens and it hits you probably like a car and. Knocks you down a little bit, but you get back up and you realise that it's the best thing in the world, and what you do on a daily basis is for your kids.
Of course it is, mate. Of course it is. So the Little Bricks podcast, we speak to business people, sports people, anybody with a really inspirational story who's faced some adversity, exceeded in life, wherever it may be, because I think it's always transferable, them skills.
Yeah, of course.
We're going to talk about your career, if that's alright.
Yeah, absolutely perfect.
Where did it all start for you?
Just basically in school and things, and to be fair, my big brother was probably my inspiration, that he started playing for Martin Juniors with Gary Sykes and Keith Sykes, and it was always basically I was a pain in the backside at home for mum, so mum would take me along, and obviously with Neil being 2 years above me, that I would go and join in training and just have a little kick about and just probably waste some energy, and you realise that you're pretty good at something, and you enjoy something, so it was just a continuation of that. So I've got a lot to thank Martin Football Club for, and Gary and Keith Sykes especially, because in this area there's not a lot of things to do, especially growing up when we were younger, about keeping yourself out of trouble, going down the right path. And for me, I think football has played a huge part in making me the person I am and giving me the things that I've been able to do. Yeah,
definitely. So with Martin Football Club, it's a lot for the people who are not from Teesside. It's a very, very big, probably the most famous, I'm a Clevo lad, but the most famous local sports team. How many professional footballers do you think have come through that club?
They do regular things on social media about players who've gone through. So obviously I know Stewie Downing's gone through, Woody's gone through, David Wheater's gone through. There's I think Lee Campbell's been through. I think there's a host of players who've gone through to play for Middlesbrough Football Club and elsewhere. So it's great. The rivalry between clubs in the area is fantastic. I think it's really healthy. I probably would have expected Martin to probably push on to another level, and I know clubs around the North East Wallsend Boys Club who did Gaza and Michael Bridges and I think Peter Beasley and people like that have got a good reputation, but Martin are up there as well with the Borough Rangers and those, so it's really good. It's important for an area to have that name and badge to it. I think it's really good.
Definitely is. So you grew up through Martin. Do you think football, you started playing as a kid? And obviously your big brother Neil was a really good footballer, played professionally. Do you think it's a genetic thing, football? Do you think is it a talent? Is it something that you can be... Are you just born really good with it, or what's your thoughts on that?
Skill-wise and technical ability-wise, I'd probably say no. I think there's things that you can learn, there's things that you can get better at it, and I've always said all the way through my career, that I was probably one of the least technical ability-wise players in my group, but there was a lot of players who didn't want it as much as me. There was a lot of people who wouldn't run over their family members to get where they wanted to be. That as a YTS at 16, that I was probably the worst player of our 10.
Really?
Ability-wise, but
really?
I wanted it more than anybody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There was lads in my group who didn't make the grade to play for the first team, which for me shocked me because they were so good at football. The ability was just scary. I see them on a daily basis, but I just wanted it. I had attributes which probably maybe stand out with my pace and with me desire. But for me, I had a dream to play for Middlesbrough Football Club. My dream was to play at Essen Park. I never got to do that because of the move to Riverside, which was probably my dad's most disappointing factor. But listen, I wanted to play with that red badge. I wanted to play for that club. I had so much desire to do it, and when I did it, it just made me hungry to do it again. I didn't want to stop at one. I was just greedy, and I just wanted to do it over and over again. And things come to an end, of course they do. But you know what I mean. Whilst I was there, whilst I was wanted by a football club, I wanted to stay as long as I could.
Class. So your apprentice days, I went to Hull City, which was a low league club at the time. Yeah. And looking back, I didn't realise at the time for me that they were the best days of my life. My kids aside, without a doubt, they were the best days of my life. Yeah. Grew up with mates who become like family, taking other teams on, trying to win every week, playing football. We got paid 45 quid a week. We got paid, and what a crack! Yeah. What was your apprentice days like?
Superb. £37.50 was my first wage when we first from 16 to 17, and then it went up to £42.50. So it was a little bit of a pay rise. And listen, you come in on the morning, you clean your boots, you do your jobs, you train, you watch a second training session. If you don't train again yourself, you do your jobs before you go home. So the days are so long. Yeah. You know what I mean? Everything's built up to a weekend. You play your weekend. You look forward, hopefully, to win to get your £8 win bonus, which is a big thing. It's massive in your wage packet, you know. And it was, listen, the camaraderie, the team spirit we had between our group was massive. We had 10 lads from our age group, 10 from above, but you're all fighting for that holy grail. You're all fighting for that opportunity to play for the reserves. You're hoping to get past through at the first team. You're hoping just to train for the first team, to be a body, just to play, to train. It's just to impress, just to. Listen, my job was I think I cleaned Janino's boots when he first came. I cleaned Gary Walsh's. I wanted to clean those boots the best than anybody did. I wanted to stand out in everything I did. If that was cleaning floors, if that was cleaning toilets, cleaning boots, training, playing, scoring goals, it was. I needed to be the best to stand out from everybody else, because I knew that other people would stand out in certain aspects of their game. So for me, it was important. But no, when you look back at my career, I had more laughs during those days. There was no pressure. Football was fun. Yeah. It was. I think it was a test. I believe being a white test was a test. I think it probably should be brought back in. You know what I mean? You know yourself that doing jobs, cleaning boots, scrubbing buses, you know what I mean, making sure everything's all right for somebody else. Yeah. It's a test to see if you're ready to go and do it yourself. As football. And for me, we had a really good group who wanted to do it, had a desire to do it, and it was enjoyable.
Yeah, I remember because you had a really strong group.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, it's Big Lee. Yeah. My mate and Woody down at Leeds, their team was fucking brilliant. Yeah, it was. The team at your age group had some unbelievable players.
Yeah, it was. We had some battles. Leeds were scary at the time with obviously Lee and Woody and Harry Kewell, Alan Smith. You know what I mean? They had McPhail.
McPhail was brilliant, wasn't he?
Yeah, they were brilliant. But you'd play them and there was no pressure on anybody. You know, what I mean? They'd just be able to show and shine. And when you're playing against them, you knew you'd come off the pitch, you'd had a game. You know what I mean? Whereas, you know what I mean, some games you dominate games from start to finish because the levels were vast. But when you played a top side like them week in, week out, it was enjoyable, it was good. And you know what I mean, you weren't surprised when you seen those kind of players play Premier League, make the livings what they have, because cream always rises, doesn't it? And
always,
you know what I mean, it was just excellent, super.
Always, yeah. I agree. It's really interesting to say about jobs there, because I was speaking to one of my mates yesterday from Hull. I seen him going all of his family, so just a quick message. The magic of social media. How are we doing, brother? We need to catch up. Yeah. We haven't seen him for like 15, 20 years, I guess. Yeah. Good friend of mine, though. And bit of an exchange. But all the lads I played with, I had my troubles with the drugs and addiction, but we're all human beings, right? We've all got our frailties and vulnerabilities, I guess. But I think we were all decent lads. And I think it was them days as apprentices that made us grow quite quickly and grounded us a little bit, give us humility. And one of the accusations shot at young footballers now is the way they behave, the way that they go on, the lack of humility. Them jobs. I was a kit man at Hull. We had the washers were at the top of the stadium. We had to carry baskets up. Yeah. Remember the whole ground where the quick save was?
Yeah.
And we had to carry the shopping baskets of kit up, wash them. But that grounded me. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. That is something missing, isn't it?
No, I think he should be brought back in. I had a good chat with a good friend of mine, who was manager of Rochdale now, Robbie Stockdale, who played Middlesbrough, and he said the same thing, and he's trying to instill and put those values back into them players, because there was nothing better. You'd do a job, and I remember Dave Geddes, our youth team manager, would go around and inspect all the jobs. If they weren't good enough, he would pour buckets of dirty water all over the floor. We would have to clean it until we went back. It was it was a way of him teaching us that this isn't good enough. You know what I mean? Don't take the mick. You know what I mean? You've got to do it to the standards that we believe in, and we have to do it right. And we were at the time we were cleaning Essen Park, which was a thankless task. They'd moved to the riverside, and this was used as a training base. It was dirty, it was run down, it wasn't nice, but it still had a history, and we were still proud to be there, you know. And it's interesting what you say there, because for me, it grounded us all, doing those jobs and earning the right to be a player, earning the right to earn your stripes. You know what I mean, was important. But at the same time, you were also the doors were open to see what was out there, and out there was shining lights, loud music. It was the things that you wanted to go and aspire to, and it was what you didn't know is what was through them doors and how it was going to change your life. But you know what I mean, you wanted to get through there, and every job that you did just made you a little step closer to those doors, you know. And I think it was an important part of my life growing up. And I look at the apprenticeships now, and we just mentioned there about money, and you know what I mean, for me, it wasn't about getting paid. You know what I mean? You needed the money because you needed to buy things. You needed to be able to transport yourself from A to B to home to go back to football and vice versa. But now apprenticeship schemes for footballers especially, they're paid an astronomical amount of money, and does that ground you? No, in my opinion. Does it get you ready for where you need to be? No, because if you've already made it at a young age, what inspires you to then want to go to the next level, to the next level, to the next level? Because football is very different. Money comes with football. It's not the other way around. You know what I mean? You've got to earn it by doing the hard miles, the groundwork on the pitch and the training ground before you get the rewards.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah. See, money's just a byproduct of how quality your work is, isn't it? No matter, it's transferable to business.
Yeah.
The money, the nice things, it gets to a certain point within business. Football is a business.
Yeah.
But that part, you know what people get it wrong is, but you get, look how much money you're getting paid. But it's because they do that quality of work while they get paid that much.
I don't think they don't see the work that you put in. They don't see, you know what I mean, what the dedication that you put in. You know what I mean, when people are going out at 17 years old, that you're staying in, you're turning your friends down, you're having to probably fall out with people. You know what I mean, in terms of doing it right until you find a level. You know what I mean, and I'm not criticising because, you know what I mean, socialising and drinking heavily played a huge part in my life. But at the time when I wanted to get where I wanted to be early doors, I made sure that I did the right things at the right times, at the right moments.
I get that. You said about Dave Geddes there. I remember doing School of Excellence at Ayrston back a few times, and he was always really firm. Having a good mentor, I'm assuming he was one of your major mentors growing up, how important is that to mould good quality people? Not just sports people, but good quality people.
Oh, huge, because it's about respect. You know, so if Dave told us to do something or told us to listen, we would listen. We wouldn't be talking over him, we wouldn't be messing about, you know what I mean, because he was the expert, you know what I mean, so we needed to impress him because we knew the message would get back to other people. We knew there was a pecking order, we knew you had to impress him before you'd move to another level, and he was great, you know what I mean. I've seen him probably a handful of times since we both went our different ways. He now works for the FA with England, and we always talk about moments in our time together, which is great. You know, we reminisce and you realise that when I used to go to football at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, he was my dad. You know what I mean? I knew that I could go to him with anything. If I was struggling, if I was upset, if I needed an arm on my shoulder, if I needed a kick on the backside, if I needed someone to shout at me, I knew he'd do it. And that was a good thing, and I respect him totally for that. And if anybody ever, listen, we can't all have favourites, and we can't always have the same opinion about people, but you know what I mean, for me, I wouldn't have a bad word said about him because I knew how determined he was to get the best out of us lot as people, not players, as people, because he knew that none of us really were going to make it. You know what I mean? There was a small percentage which would, but we all could make it as nice people, and we all had values, and he would teach us the right values when we were at work.
Yeah, I get you, mate. It's really interesting football because a small percentage make it, the level you did, and the lads Lee and Woody lads we mentioned there did, but still the camaraderie and the support of each other and the friendship and the bond you gain, unique, right, to be part of a team. But there's only 1 or 2 spaces for us, so we're all fighting for them 1 or 2 places, but yet in the same time creating bonds that'll last a lifetime. Yeah,
I think you make those really close bonds and friendships with people, and then I think that they can fracture a little bit because I think it's natural that you're disappointed that you haven't made it and someone else has, and you probably don't talk for a little bit, but you get older, you get wiser, you become an adult, and you realise that friendship was strong. It was a proper friendship, and there's no grudges. And listen, football was so cutthroat that you're fighting probably 800 people for two slots, 1 slot, and you know what I mean. And if that wasn't me, then it wasn't me. You looked down a different avenue, but thankfully it was me. But you remember who got you there. You know what I mean, because it wasn't just you. Other people pushed me towards where I needed to be. I couldn't do it all myself, and it was family pushed me, players pushed me, friends push you. And for me, you don't forget other people because you know what I mean. It's a long life to be sat on your own as well. So you need other people around you to help and support.
Yeah, Mum says be nice to everyone in the world.
That's right.
You might make them in the way too.
Right, you might.
You know, you highlight your playing for us, man.
My debut at the Riverside. I remember standing there against Sheffield Wednesday. It was Good Friday. Standing there, it felt like a lifetime ready to go on. I remember the gaffer told me in the afternoon that I was going to be involved in the squad, and it was just one of those surreal moments that you just think, I've dreamt about this. I want to remember it. I want it to last. And I watched the video because I've got it on VHS. That's how old the game was in '96. But I watched it over and over, and A, I don't recognise myself. B, I did really well in the game. I didn't give the ball away. I did a few good moments. I really enjoyed it, but trying to remember it myself without watching it is just so hard, because it was just one of those things which just you try to remember it, but it went so quick. And I was gutted, you know what I mean? Because and things straight after the game, finished Premier League fixture 1-3-1 on a live Sky game. Straight after the game, cleaning boots, scrubbing floors.
Straight after
the game, yeah. So straight after in the home stadium, yeah. So picking kit up with Alex Smith, the kit man, scrubbing the floor before my mum and dad picked us up outside. It brought me back down to earth straight away. But then driving home, mum and dad, did you enjoy it? It was like, can't wait next week, do it again. Who we play next week? Tottenham away. I want to go to Tottenham. I want to go away. I want to go to White Hart Lane. I want to do this. I want to do that. And thankfully, it didn't happen that week. But made my full debut at Anfield the following week, and that was all done underhand by the gaffer. The gaffer, Brian Robson, rung my mum and dad on the Friday and told them that I was starting.
Oh wow.
Which was great. So didn't tell me until the Saturday afternoon, until pre-match, and it was the biggest secret in the world. I played the Premier League game without a shirt on my back, without a name on my back, because the gaffer hadn't told the kit man as well, so it was quite a big secret. And then everybody really, I got a special dispensation to be allowed to play without a name or number on my back. It was great. Ian Rush's last ever game at Anfield, marked by Neil Ruddock, Phil Barb. It was just what dreams are made of, what gets you grounded, humbled, ready to be a footballer. But he just wants you more, you know. It was towards the end of the season, and all the way through the summer I kept myself right. I wanted to get fit, I wanted to go and play again, but sometimes it can be a difficult moments in football. Football doesn't pan out the way that you want it. Your desire and your attitude can be great, but you also need a little bit of a ladder, step in the right direction and push in the right direction by somebody else.
Absolutely. So the Liverpool team you played, because you played with a lot of them lads at 20. You played with Gerrard, right? At 21s. Yeah. Were they playing that day too?
Yeah. They all played Jamie Carragher. So it was nice, you know, because listen, you come out of your career and you take a step back and you look, and being mentioned in Stevie's book is great about when we played the England days, and he mentions me about my attitude about
Did he really?
Everybody so quick, and it's nice that people recognise those things. And when I talk about, you know, I mean, that was my attribute, that was my main attribute. I wouldn't say it was my only attribute, because I don't be disrespectful towards myself, because you have to be a half decent footballer to be able to play. But talking about levels and ability, whole packages, him, Big Frank, Michael Owen, you know, I mean, those just to mention those three is just Emile Heskey. They were just at another level.
Were they?
Yeah, animals of football who just had natural ability, but the attitude to go with it, and you could tell playing at the level of junior football, under 21s, under 18s, that they were going to be world superstars.
Really?
Yeah.
That good?
Yeah, excellent.
What did he say about your attitude in the book?
I just said that was really impressed with how quick I was and how dedicated I was to want to, you know what I mean? It's great, and it's nice to read those kind of things, you know, because I remember someone told me about it, and I hadn't got the book, so I thought, well, do you know what, I'm not going to buy it in case I'm not, and someone's had my eyes out here, so I'm going to have a little flick through in Waterstones and have a little look, and found my name in the back, so I thought I'm buying it, and I've got it at home, and it's something nice just to keep, because it's a little memento. I keep some really important things from my football career. Can't keep everything, because there's some bad memories that come with it as well, and things that you don't be reminded of from certain times. But football's something which it's played a huge part of my life, and continues to do so.
So that England, was it under 21 team?
Yeah.
There's a particular picture, quite a famous picture.
Yeah.
It's like a fucking murderer's row of legends of the Premiership.
It's ridiculous.
But kids at the time who probably were just breaking it.
Yeah.
Who did you play with around that?
Well, that infamous photo, you've got Kieran Dyer, Jamie Carragher, Frank Lampard, Rio Ferdinand, Emile Heskey, Seth Johnson, Richard Wright, Lee Hendry. And it came more famous recently, obviously Lee did that Harry Heroes, and he mentioned it, obviously with his addiction, that he looks at it on a daily basis and it drives him through about the good times of football, and it was just... It was great. Every time England played, it seemed to be thrown out there because all the England's successful side were on that photo at one point. So it was like the Rios, the Franks, the Emile Heskys, the golden generation were on that photo, which is fantastic. But to be selected by Howard Wilkinson was great. I was playing regular Premier League football at the time, so I earned my place. I was in that merit, which is great. We played at Barcelona against Yugoslavia to get us to the Euros. Won 3-0, scored the first goal, and it was just at that time, football could not gotten any better. It was you're travelling back with the team. You've just qualified with superstars. You know they're going to be superstars. Yeah. You know they're going to go to the World Cup in the summer in France, not with the Euros with us. So you just knew there was a platform and an opportunity for me to get my feet under the table at that level and still continue my Premier League development, which I was doing at Middlesbrough, which was great under the gaffer Brian Robson. Yeah. And for me, life was good.
Class. The lads in that team, the standout players, I mean, you said Owen, Gerrard, Lampard, Rio, megastars, legends of the Premiership. Yeah. What was the difference between them and the other lads?
They could talk the talk and they could walk the walk. You know what I mean? So they could say what they were going to do and they'd back it up by doing it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Whereas you probably wouldn't reach and talk about the standards that you wanted to reach because just in case you didn't and fall flat. But they would say where they wanted to be and then go and do it. You know what I mean? And that would be in training and small goals and the big goals and targets themselves. That I think when you've got those ambitions and you're that talented, world's your oyster. Yeah. They fulfilled it. I think it helped at the time that they drove each other themselves. You know what I mean? That there was a small group that they would probably, especially I'd probably say Frank and Stevie, especially that both playing in midfield together, competing against each other, club and country. That you know what I mean? There was a proper drive that they want to be the best individually and then together collectively. But no, that they stood out and fair play to them. You know because but humble people as well. People who you know what I mean they weren't unapproachable, you know what I mean? You could talk to them about anything, even to this day, you know, that I speak to a couple of them still about the good old days, but, you know what I mean, they don't forget where they were, because regardless of where they are now, they realise that they were a nobody at one point, like we all were, you know, so it was like important.
But Owen was a fucking megastar, right? People forget him, don't they?
I came through with him at schoolboy level. We played a game at Bury against Scotland. I played up front with him, and shy, nervous character that I was at the time, coming out of that level at 16 years old, that played with him. He was a man. He was a man at that level, inside a boy's body. And I think he scored 8 or 9 that day at Bury at Gig Lane against Scotland, and Scotland must have just gone, what on earth's going on here? And I remember going back to Middlesbrough and people asking, did they enjoy it? And I'd probably say, I didn't enjoy the game. I enjoyed watching and learning from someone else, but didn't enjoy the things that I did, because for me, what I've just watched someone else do, that's what I wanted to be. I wanted to be at that level, not the level I was playing at currently, but I knew that was just a different level, and he was just above and beyond that anyone else wanted to be. He was always one step ahead, and when you're one step ahead, that you're there to be shot at, and he backed it up. Yes, he had a couple of horrific injuries, which probably knocked him back, but it didn't stop his confidence in his arrogance, and arrogance in a good way. Michael had a lot of arrogance.
Did he?
But his arrogance, he backed it up. You know what I mean? He would go in thinking he'd score goals and knowing he'd score goals, and he'd score a goal. Yeah. Not just the one, and he'd do it on the big level, Champions League, World Cup, and Premier League, and you know what I mean. I think probably look back, you know, the clubs he's played for, the teams he's played, the players he's played with, fantastic. But players like him deserved to win more, probably more medals. I know he won a Premier League at United, but how players of that generation didn't win Premier League at Liverpool? You know, more things, you know what I mean? He had an unbelievable career, but I think for me, he's one player that probably deserved a little bit more.
I agree with you completely, and a lot of people, youngsters, will probably not remember how fucking great he was, and how big he was.
World superstar. You know, I think he won the Ballon d'Or as well, so someone who wins a Ballon d'Or from England, you go up in everyone's estimation, because you're looking at Messi, Ronaldo's level. That's the level. That's the level he was at, if not better than them at that time. So he was a world beater.
So you think about the word arrogance there. I've always been about Brian Robson and that fucking famous team. The word arrogance, whatever industry, business, sales, art, movie, sport, the best have to have that level of arrogance, don't they? Yeah. So a lot of people say about like Mayweather, for example, he's brilliant. I just wish he wasn't as arrogant. But I don't think you can take one out without
he wouldn't be what he is without it. You know what I mean? He'd be different. It would be a lot more quiet. You know what I mean? Yes, there's a fine line between confidence and arrogance. You know what I mean? But you can have arrogance as long as confidence, as long as you can back it up. You've got to be able to back it up. And the whole thing is being able to back it up. And whatever level you're playing at whatever level in sport, in business, in work, in the workforce, you know what I mean, you've got to want to stand out from everyone else if you want to aspire to be the best in that building, the best in that area. And for me, you need to have that arrogance, because it's going to come across like that anyway. So you know what I mean, just back it up, and it's just another word of confidence.
It is. Playing for Brian Robson, legend, living legend. He's in the Amazon documentary.
Yeah,
brilliant.
Yeah.
What a good guy comes across.
No, he was my footballing dad. Said it to him. I've thanked him over and over again.
Really?
I'm still close to him now. Speak to him now. Yeah.
Good man, John.
He's a better person, better man manager.
Really?
I really liked him. Yeah, I think I was gutted the way that it ended for him, because, and I mean gutted, I mean really upset. It upset me that that the club went in a different direction. That they brought in Terry Venables, and he just looked lost at the time towards the end, and I was gutted, because he gave me my opportunity. He put his arm around me. He gave me so many chances to fulfil my potential. Spoke me like one of his own kids. You know, I know obviously Claire really well, and Ben, his son. So it was just really nice that he brought me in to that kind of level, and I felt that love on a daily basis, because that's what got the best out of me. And when he left, I saw my days were numbering, and for me it was an escape route and an avenue to get out of that football club once he'd gone.
Yeah. What's it like playing with like Eugenio's and Ravanelli's at this unbelievable time?
Scary. I think having the little fella come in when Juninho came in, it was a wow factor that the club's going to go places. You think that it's just going to be a one-off, but then the gaffer brought in the Ravanellis, the Emersons, the Boxic's, the Mikel Becks, the Festas, you know what I mean, along Paul Merson's across the way, you know what I mean.
Gaza too.
Tell you the Gaza, you know, I'll tell you the story when we signed Ravanelli, that we were training at the prison at the time in Kirkleatham. Kirkleatham, sorry, we trained at Kirkleatham prison, and we were running around, and prisoners were watching us, shouting abuse at as they do, which is great, because they're all football fans, and they don't like to see Middlesbrough doing well at the time. And as we were running around, Mark Somerville, good mate of mine, and someone said to me, he said, Ravanelli's there. I said, Ravanelli's not anywhere near here. I said, he won the Champions League yesterday, because Marseille won the Champions League, I think, a couple of days earlier. And I said, he's not here. Finished training, gaffer brought us in for a big team meeting, as he do every session, so it wasn't anything new. Introduced us to a new signing of Fabrizio Ravanelli, and my face just dropped. I was just starstruck. I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to go home and tell my dad. Went home, told my dad, dead excited, like a kid at Christmas I was. And my dad just wasn't bothered. And I was a little bit like, Dad, you don't seem like as excited as me. He went, well, where are you going to play? He was more bothered about me not playing now, that superstars come in, and I didn't think of it like that. I was more excited, but I said, but Ravanelli. Long story short, first game of the season came, Ravanelli scores his hat-trick against Liverpool, there's me sat in the stand. And that probably I opened my eyes a little bit that my game time's going to be limited unless I now step my game up to another level. I've then got to go to another level, and playing with him in the reserves, playing with him in the first team, training with him, asking advice, you know what I mean? He gets a raw deal in some quarters, probably because of his arrogance, his attitude towards the area, towards people. That was him, you know what I mean. Towards me as a person, he was lovely, he was great. He helped me a lot. But I can understand why people do have a bad opinion of him.
Of course.
But everyone can't like everybody. You know what I mean? People have disagreements and arguments and fights with people, and it can be personal at times. But for me, as an individual, I thought I found him absolutely fine.
So fair. So you mentioned a couple of names there. We're going to mention Juninho. What was he like?
Oh, he was great. He was a breath of fresh air, you know, that he was just come off the back of, I was at the Umbro Cup at Wembley when he scored against England. I think the beat us, and Brian Robson was assistant manager at Terry Venables at the time. So when he came in, he was obviously loving life, loved the area, which is quite surreal, because Middlesbrough hasn't got a good reputation in the area. Obviously we all love it because we're from here, but he loved everyone what went with it. I loved the weather, which was very strange. Remember when it snowed and he was training with a balaclava on, and he was just like, what on earth? And he could still rip training up and be the best player with a balaclava on, a big coat on, and it was just like, this is unbelievable that whatever he did in the training, he would transfer it to a game.
Was that good?
He was excellent. He would try things and then be able to transfer the skills into a game, which is just so important. You know, his first game against Leeds when he sent Jan through for his goal. Those things stand out, and you remember the iconic moments of the Premier League. You know what I mean? To see Juninho in a red shirt was great. I do wish, if there was one wish, I wish he hadn't come back the second time. And I think more personally that I know he'd just come back from a broken leg. He was looking to get fit. It didn't really work out for him, and you know what I mean. For me, when he first came, I was aspiring to play with him. When he came back, I was in the team trying to keep him out, and it was. I don't know if it was guilt or that I wanted to fulfil my own potential. I just didn't really work out for him as much.
What was boxers like?
Kept himself, ability-wise. One of the best players I've ever seen.
Really?
Yeah. With the things he could do, the things he could do with the football, I was just, how on earth have you just done that?
Really?
Yeah. He would glide with the ball. He would be quicker with the ball than he was without.
Never.
A goal he scored, Middlesbrough fans will remember it. He scored against Southampton at the Old Dell, when he got the ball in his own half, dribbled, just put it in. I think we drew 3-3 that day. Yeah. I was in the stand, sat next to England manager Glenn Hoddle at the time, and John Gorman, and Glenn Hoddle's just scared. He's just sat next to me, just got, oh my God. What a player. He's the world's best player.
Really?
You know what I mean? And they were his words, and I'm thinking, like, he's just an unbelievable footballer.
Sure.
Yeah, and it just didn't work out the way that the club wanted with him. They had aspirations to bring in players to support that network, but he was for me technically, if not the best player we've ever worn in Middlesbrough.
Really? Wow. Yeah. So you moved on from Middlesbrough.
Yeah.
What was that experience?
It wasn't great. Playing for a club that I loved. To be told that you weren't wanted anymore by a manager, which was Steve McLaren at the time, it leaves a bit of taste in your mouth. And trained on my own for probably the last 5 or 6 weeks. It was me and Stampy and a couple of other players, younger players who weren't in the manager's plans. Which, listen, it's football. I get it. I understand it. But I think to do it with my hometown club, living in my area, and left a bit of taste. Explored a couple of different avenues, which didn't work out, and then got a phone call from Lenny Lawrence, who brought me into the club in Middlesbrough years ago during my schoolboy days. So once he'd been in touch about Cardiff City, it was a no-brainer. And once all the paperwork got sorted out, went on loan there initially, just to get my feel around the place and see if it was suited to me. Stayed there for probably 2 or 3 weeks of me 2 months loan, and signed within 3 weeks for £1 million, which at the time was big money. Big money. But I loved it. Loved the city. Very different. You know what I mean? Even the drive to Cardiff was an absolute killer. But it's just I always wanted to challenge myself, and for me, I've seen a lot of people and players who've not moved out of the area and not really wanted to go and see what else is. Middlesbrough's a big place, but the world's even bigger. And for me, you know what I mean? To go there was tough, because I was away from my family. I was on my own for a long period of time, but it was something that I would never regret. No.
So what's Cardiff like? Is a place to live? The fans, notorious reputation, of course. Yeah,
as a city, it's a lovely city. Loads of places to go. Very busy. Loads of traffic lights. Traffic's ridiculous. Something that I was never used to. Which is brand new. But you get used to it very quickly. You can't. You know what I mean? Here you can. In your own town, you can plan how long it takes to get A to B. You can't do it in the city. You can't do those kind of things. So you're either early or late. There's no in between, which is different. The football club was a little bit like Middlesbrough. You know, I mean, Indian Park was like Essen Park, very run down. But the atmosphere from the fans generated was second to none. Passionate was probably a word that was just branded around with Cardiff fans, and they're second to none. You know, they love football so much. Like North East people, they just live and die by the club, and will do everything for that football club, for that badge, and they want the players to do exactly the same. So if you do what they expect, they'll bring you in and they'll love you. You know, and one thing that I did from day one is ran around, and they saw what they got and they loved what they saw. You know, so it was a good marriage. You know, up until 3 years later, 3.5 years later when I left, but it was the in between was great. Met some really nice people. I had some old teammates, Graham Kavanagh, who was there from Middlesbrough days, so it was easy for me to settle in. Knew a couple of other players from the North East, which was great, but meeting new players, which was important for my development as a person, and as living in the city, buying a house, just things that I needed to do myself. Make a family, you know what I mean? My eldest daughter was born there, so Cardiff plays a huge part in my life, apart from my football now. You know what I mean? So it's never going to be forgotten, because we go back. Well, my eldest, who's 18 in September, so you know what I mean. For her to be born there, it's special place for me.
Yeah, of course. And you did a podcast was that for the club or just?
No, we just did it during lockdown. I was just with a good friend of mine, Simon Willis. Just decided to keep people busy and ourselves busy during COVID and during lockdown. So we did it. I'd guests on, and he was based in Cardiff, and I was doing it remotely from home in the northeast. So it was nice. It was nice to give the Cardiff fans something back, which they've missed. I've got a really good rapport with Cardiff fans on social media and as friends anyway. So to be able to do something back to them, I think it's really important.
Nice. So you're a legend at Cardiff because one special moment. Yeah. Can you talk us through that, please?
Playoff final. I nearly wasn't involved, to be fair, because I had a really bad injury in my groin and needed operation probably 6 weeks before the end of the season. And the club gave me an option, said just battle through it, which is an option. There's option A, option B is have an operation. You're going to miss up to 4 to 6 weeks, which will wipe your season out. But if we get in the playoffs, you'll be fit for the playoffs. So I had a decision to make and decided to go down the operation route after speaking to surgeons, the manager, and most importantly to see what if he didn't mind me missing the rest of the season. You know what I mean? We wanted to get promoted automatically, didn't happen. Had a bad end of the season, got in the playoffs. Wasn't fit for the first game, which was devastated about because then you get your days and your moments are running out. I was involved in the semi-final, which was against Bristol City as a sub. Boring game, but got through at the final at Millennium Stadium. And again, really struggling. I think Thursday the manager gave me a deadline of you need to train tomorrow or you won't be involved in the squad. So went home worried about it. Sat there, rested up, didn't walk for the rest of the day. I was so determined to be fit for tomorrow for a training session. Train tomorrow, absolutely fine, no problems. Gaffer named me on his substitutes bench, which was the only outcome. You know what I mean? I hadn't played the big chunks of the season. I played against QPR, and at the time QPR had the best players, defenders, Danny Shittu, monster, Clark Carlisle, good friend of mine, monster, centre half, and we'd beat him previously 4-0 during the start of the season, so we just knew it wasn't going to be as easy as that, wasn't going to be a walkover. The gaffer decided after about 70 minutes to bring the prodigal son Robert Earnshaw off, and Ernie was the Welsh hero, Cardiff legend. Yeah, gaffer decided to bring him off, which was quite strange. Normally we played together as a three. We would interchange. We would do certain things. The gaffer brought him off, and you could hear the feel of the Millennium Stadium just changed because everyone was a little bit like, what has he done? What's he bringing him on for instead of Ernie and blah 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 and trying to win the game? And the best decision the manager's made, in his words, because what happened in extra time is ball flew over the top, beat Danny Shittu, Clark Carlisle, and lofted over Chris Day's head, and the noise. I've heard noises in football stadiums before. When Ravanelli scored at Wembley, that was a noise I always remember. But the noise at Millennium Stadium when that goal went in was ridiculous. I didn't really know what to do. And I remember where my family ran straight over to my family. Celebrating in front of them, all the players jumped on top of me, and then for the next 8 minutes of extra time, I think I was horrific. I didn't touch the ball for the next 8 minutes. I was running around like a headless chicken and didn't really enjoy it. I just wanted the whistle to go. I was desperate to see the game out. I didn't want to take a penalty. I was scared.
Really?
Yeah, I was. That was.
You were scared to take a penalty?
In that environment, yeah. I didn't want to be the one to miss. I wanted to make sure that I did enough to see the game out. The boys did the job. But for me, the next 3 days were a bit of a blur. Good blur. We celebrated together like I think a proper team should. Really together. We've been through a lot for the last 2 years to get to the moment where we really wanted to celebrate. Just remembering everyone was in the bath having a kind of lager celebrating, and just there was no singing and dancing and jubilant scenes like you'd probably imagine. We were reflecting, talking calmly that what on earth have we just done? And I think we didn't realise until we went outside the Millennium Stadium into Cardiff what we'd achieved, and hundreds of thousands of people to meet us outside was just wow.
Pandemonium.
Yeah, wow moment. That was a Sunday. That was a Sunday night, and I know I laugh and joke there about being out until the Tuesday. That days just went.
Did they?
People wanted to celebrate with you and help you out, and you know what I mean, sleep deprivation, you know what I mean, and probably adrenaline kept us going until the Tuesday. And I remember walking through the house to see family again on the Tuesday and just gone, wow, what a moment, and things that you just can't, no one can ever take away from you. You know, the game's brilliant, the game was a surreal moment for myself.
Yeah.
But I think the celebrations as a family, as a group, as what we'd done together was just something else, something special.
Amazing, that mate. Nice. I remember watching it. All these years later now, you got to Cardiff. Is it still remembered? Are the fans still on you?
Worse now,
Really?
yeah, than ever. Yeah, and I think I remember we went out as a family. Once things had calmed down, we went out. I think we stayed in Cardiff till the Friday, and then we came back north like we always used to do for long periods, see the family. But we stayed till about Thursday, the Friday. We went out on the Wednesday, and somebody came over to our table in a restaurant and just said, drinks for everybody. That moment will never be forgotten in the Cardiff folklore. And you take it with a pinch of salt and just think, yeah, good one. You know what I mean? You're saying it because you're being nice, which is fine.
Yeah.
It's more famous now, 18 years later, than it was the first year. The first year probably went without much excitement because they were where they needed to be. Then they were in the Premier League where they needed to be. But I think now, they realised that the good times that Cardiff City had was because of that group of players, and that goal accumulated everything what that group of players did, you know. And it's just nice that was that moment my goal that made a lot of people happy.
Amazing. Happy for you.
Yeah, it was nice. It's nice. Listen, it's moments that no one can ever take back from you. You know that I've never worn those football boots since. I've got them in a frame at home. Still with me. Still in mud on them. Never worn them again after. Didn't put them on. The chairman got me a gold mould of my boots.
Nice.
You know what I mean? Still got my medal. Still got my programme for the day, which hasn't been opened or read or anything. It's just everything's put away in for the kids to look at, for family to look at, and for me just to sometimes understand that, that wasn't too bad.
You did all right, mate. So, coming out with football, what is it you're doing now?
I'm involved in education now. I think it's taken a long road, a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication, a lot of tears, sweat, a lot of upsetness, a lot of things about me coming out of football. I think a lot of people don't understand the transition and the change coming out of football. It's hard.
Really?
Yeah, hard. It cost me my family, cost me marriage.
Really?
Yeah.
Can we touch on it?
Yeah.
What was the transition?
There's no support. Once you dropped out of a football club, you're lost. You know, I was probably 6 months with no guidance, no help where to go. I got told to reach out. Neil pushed me in the PFA route, talking to a man called Andy Barlow, used to be a player himself. He was in Richard Jobson, who was the head of PFA at the time, and told me to go into university, go down a route that I wanted to go down. I tried to go down that route, found out that I didn't leave school with any qualifications, because I didn't try in school at the time because of wanted to get down to football, so I had to go and get my GCSEs again.
Really?
So I had to go to Stockton Riverside College on night school, do GCSEs, yeah.
How old were you then?
Did them. Probably 32, 33.
Doing GCSEs again?
Yeah.
Professional footballer, Millennium Stadium, scoring that goal, and then you end up doing GCSEs a few years later.
Yeah, with people who just failed them coming out of school, so it was hard, that transition. But I had a goal which I got my head around where I wanted to go. I wanted to get into university. I wanted to be a physio. That was my dream. My dream was to get back into football and be a physiotherapist. Yeah, I had that many injuries. I thought, well, I can probably pass my education on to every player with the injuries that I had. So, did my GCSEs, went into Teesside Uni on a applied sports science course. Didn't like the modules which I needed to do physiotherapy, and then got talking to an old physio of mine who was teaching me there at the time. Gaz Henderson, and Gaz said, try teaching route. He said, I've seen some of your presentations and some of the things that you do. He said you're decent at what you do. So I said, just give it a go. So I give it a go. I loved it, and never really looked back in that. And out of football, there's a long football's a short career. Yeah. You're a footballer for a short period of time. You're not a footballer for the majority of your life. So I think my advice to players, I think they do need a little bit more education in terms of the afterlife out of football. If you earn enough money not to do it and not to be able to work, great. But I think you'd be incredibly bored. You wouldn't be able to not do something. I think you need to have something which keeps you busy and something you got passion in. You know what I mean? That's coaching, football, kids, education, business, whatever that may be, numbers, money, bank, whatever. Listen, there's a life for everybody.
I get you. Nowhere near the level. I stopped playing Northern League football 27, 28. My lifestyle got older me, my addiction, the disease of addiction got me. my life's very out of control. But I remember stopping playing football. I was just so fucking lost.
Yeah.
Like my mates, I was disconnected.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think that's what happens. I think one day I was somebody, tomorrow I wasn't.
Yeah.
And I think that's what got me the most. That you know what I mean. You're forgotten by a lot of people. Your phone's not busy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean. Your agent's not ringing you. You know what I mean. Clubs aren't ringing you. Fans aren't talking to you. You know what I mean. You walk down the street, you're not noticed anymore. And it's tough, you know. And it's nobody ever gets ready for that moment. Nobody gets you ready to be that footballer in that bubble. But no one ever thinks and tells you what it's like when it finishes. That could finish tomorrow with an injury. It could finish tomorrow with not being wanted by a club. It could finish by not having lack of opportunities. But yeah, it's difficult, and I think a lot of people have been hurt because of choices that I made, decisions that I did, and you know what I mean. And you punish other people, and yeah, it was a difficult time not just for me, for other people.
Did you struggle with mental health?
I didn't think I did, but I think looking back, I think massively. I think I was in a really bad place, but not realising at the time. So I think it's probably that's more dangerous looking back at it. Drink had a huge part in what I was doing. I think if I had a drink, I'd realise that tomorrow would never come. That those problems which I had today wouldn't be there tomorrow if I carried on doing what I was doing. Which those problems just get 10 times worse. You get more tired. You get more angry. You know what I mean? I think I wasn't as good dad as I needed to be, as I used to be. But I realised that you also realise that you can't live that kind of lifestyle anymore. No. And it changes very quickly. But that upset and the pain that you've caused other people stayed. So you know, when you make mistakes and you rectify it, you try to help people, try to make sure that you do the right thing, which I've tried to do, and you just try to be a better person. And that's how you can do. So people make mistakes. It's how you understand and how you acknowledge those mistakes along your life. And listen, nobody's perfect. None of us are. And but life's for living. And especially most recently, what's happened to the family. That I think it's important that you live the life to the fullest as well, because you just don't know what's around the corner.
Are we okay to talk about?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Right, okay. So obviously I was friends with Big Neil, who's Andy's brother.
Yeah.
The misperception of Cam is crazy. I remember when I started selling insurance, going to teams at Newcastle, and the first thing, without any disrespect, they goes, fucking Cammy, wanker. And I'd be like, honestly, like, he's the nicest man in the world. They're like, no, he's not. Fucking elbows, getting us sent off, arguing, fighting, because he was a demon on the pitch. Fucking wound-up merchant as well. But away from the football pitch, like the most pure human being you could ever meet. Just a diamond of a man.
Listen, I'm biased, obviously, but I've seen the good, bad, and the ugly. I've witnessed that. What people know, we played against York City pre-season friendly. That he got sent off for a horror tackle on me. Yeah,
did he?
Which mum and dad shouted at him for when we got home, which was just Neil all over. I played with him for the over 40s. I didn't get to play with him professional or semi-professional, but played with him the over 40s. I wanted to sample it. And when I turned 40, Neil was already playing. So I see it from team side that we needed him. You know what I mean? We needed what he brought to the team. I could understand how horrible he was. I saw it with my own eyes. But I travelled with him before the game. How humble, how nice he is. I'm not just saying that because he's my brother.
He was.
I see him as a dad. I see him as a husband, as a boyfriend. As a son, and now listen, he was a diamond, and all these stories, good and bad, I think make a proper person, because I think he had an edge, and for me you need that edge. You know what I mean? You talk about arrogance. He didn't have the arrogance. He just had an edge. What you see is what you got, and you knew when people got off that in that car, in that changing. When you saw a certain person on the pitch, you knew you were in the game. And I remember people when we were warming up with over 40s, because they just stand and look at the other team, and you just go and they'd all huddle over and be pointing at Neil and thinking, oh my God, you know what I mean? Because they knew exactly what it was, and already we'd won. We'd won because of it, and it was nice, you know, and it was nice, and it was something that now, after obviously now he's passed, that I'm so glad that I decided to go and sample playing alongside him, because it was something that that I always wanted to do, and it wasn't not regretting football because it never happened. I never had the opportunity to do it, to play with him, so it was never an option. But now that was an option, and I'm glad I did it. It was nice. We were successful. Played up front with him, which I'd never had an opportunity to do. I'd always wondered, would it be a dream partnership? Everyone said it would have been. It worked. It did really well. Big man, little man. He did all the horrible stuff, and I got the rewards. And it worked. It was nice. But yeah, listen, he's never going to be forgotten because I'll make sure of it. But at the same time, I think everyone's memories of him are really good. Even if they're bad, I still think they're really good because they're funny. And it's funny memories, you know what I mean? Because those lads who said, yeah, he's horrible on the pitch, I guarantee you they've got a different memory of him on a night out or in the bar straight after the game because generous, loves a drink, loves to socialise. But I tell you what, when we're talking about having boundaries, he just used to be able to cut off and just keep himself right 100% of the time. That he was just the nicest person I think I've ever come across.
That is the nicest person you've ever come across. I would agree with you. You and him were more than brothers. Yeah. Was that always the case for a childhood? Yeah.
Listen, we fought like cat and dog in house, like every brothers do, every sibling does. But slept in his room most nights. To be fair, we used to listen to Tom's talking and stuff, and just we used to do everything together. He wanted to be a footballer, I wanted to be a footballer. He went into education when I was at uni. I just found it an easy route. He said, just try it, go and do it. Did it. You know what I mean? He's been married a couple of times. He's been divorced. So when I got divorced, it was probably easier that he knew what to do. He knew, you know what I mean. And it's not a laughing matter, but it's something that I can go to with everything. He had every life experience, everything that I had a problem with, I can go to him with because I knew he'd sampled it in life, everything good and bad. You know what I mean. When he was going through the football ladder, I knew what jobs entailed. I knew what happened in clean boots. I knew what it was like when I made maybe debut. I knew what it was like. You know what I mean? He's a dad of two boys. It's everything what he does and did in his life. He made mine a smooth transition because I knew he was there, and it's difficult now. It's hard because he's not there, and I haven't got that comfort blanket. But life goes on, and life goes on for his family, his boys, obviously my nephews, and the rest of the family, because it's life's not panned out the way that you want it. You want to be the best that you can be, and I want him to be proud, and I'll make sure of that.
You will, mate. You will. No, I never told you the story ever. Now, I had a bad fall off the drugs. I was in the darkest of places. When you go for that route and the disease of addiction gets you, you're lost. And at the time, I was just robbing Peter to pay Paul. My only thought was using. Yeah. And I got this job selling combined life insurance. Remember the football insurance? And I know where to go. I get a phone call at the blue of Big Cam and his wife at the time, Rachel, going around the house seeing the boys who were fucking were boys. And scenes yesterday. Yeah. This was 12 years ago in Thornaby, just behind Mandale Pub. Yeah. House and estate there, brand new house. Yeah. Come in. Now Cam at the time, would have been Neil, I'd call him Cam of course. He knew everything. He knew I was down, he knew I was in a dark place, I'd lost my fucking house, I had no teeth, I was 9 stone ringing wet. I was a junkie, I was an addict, I was in the midst of addiction, trying, this is my last chance. And I never ever forgot, that it never mattered to him. He was the first person my life insurance off me. Remember it? And I don't think he even needed it, to be honest with you. I don't think he did. Yeah. He was a teacher, so he got a lot of benefits. Yeah. He got the top plan. I remember I had to go back the next night to get more numbers off him, and it was a case of writing down, ring this lad at Crook, ring this lad at Benfield, ring this lad at the Sinners, ring all of them. And when I'd rang them, it's just flanners, and I'm thinking, I can't tell you the anxiety to phone someone when you're not in that circle no more. Yeah. And they knew that I was bad on the drugs, I was an addict, that I'd lost my house, I'd lost my family, and this was all down to me, and my disease of addiction. So it's a nervous thing to do. So I'm like building myself up, thinking, fucking hell, really thinking, how am I gonna squirm past this? What lie am I gonna tell to sort of cover up my addiction? I here's that Jim. Yeah, Big Cam told me you're gonna ring. Yeah, what day are you free? He's fucking rang them all and messaged them. Do you know what I mean? Which is something that we still do now off the back of Big Cam doing that. I say to my lads, get your person who's referring you on to ring them for you. And that one act of kindness from me will probably give me a career. And it's born whatever we're doing there with Daz and Nathan and all the guys at Bespoke. Chris Rooney got me the job at football, lad. And Cammy give me my break by giving me them names and numbers and buying something off me. At the time where, I remember my first 2 or 3 days I was struggling. And he did that for me. And his wife at the time did as well, to be fair to them. He made a career for me. Sounds quite fucking big, but he did. And that was Cam for me.
I think that's what you see is what you get with him, that he understood, you know what I mean, because life's not all roses, is it, you know what I mean?
No.
He hadn't found things easy in his life. Football didn't pan out the way that he wanted to. I remember that he was at Southend at the time, and he was due to go to West Ham on trial. Big break for him, massive break for him. And he got injured on the Saturday, so he couldn't go, and it all fell through, and he was heartbroken. I remember I went down in the summer to see him, and he was lost, because he was just like, that was my big moment. You know what I mean? They won't go and come. I think they went and go and signed John Hartson at the time. You know what I mean? So quite similar players. You know what I mean? That was stature. So you know what I mean? He was thinking like that was my big moment. You just don't know where it would have went for him personally, but no, genuine. I know people will probably say it's because he's your brother, but he was just the nicest man in the world, and would do anything. Everyone loved a social life, and you know what I mean. His life's evolved with 2 cracking boys, his new girlfriend Becca, and obviously Rachel's played a huge role in my family's life, in his life. So it's fantastic, you know.
Well, man, yeah, I'm staggered, Andy, by like how, because I had times, I know the people did. I seen loads of posts, and Chris Rooney struggled. We spoke. I seen a few like Mike O'Reilly really at a dark moment, and I know a lot of lads did. Stevie Todd, who was a legend. I'm staggered at your strength.
Listen, I think I struggle on a Saturday because I haven't done a Saturday. I struggle in certain days, certain moments in the day. I just want to do right for him sometimes, and I think when I'm struggling, when I'm going through those moments, I think how he would want me to be. You know, there's things in this last 12 weeks that I've never thought I would ever see, never witness, never have to go through. Phone calls I would never dream of making, would have to make, to kids, to family, to have those kind of moments in my life. But they're the horrible parts of growing up, right? They're the things that you never warned about, never really want to do, but when they happen, that you've got to probably man up a little bit and get it, and just grit your teeth and get on with it and do it. And you know what I mean? I think the first 4 days were really tough. I didn't know what day it was. I was in a really bad place, and broke down a few times, and got myself where I needed to be. And is people talk about his funeral. Talking about his funeral. His funeral was hard. Of course, it was going to be hard. It was something that I'd never got my head around why it was going to happen and why it needed to happen. But speaking at his funeral, and there was something I needed to do. I nearly lost it a couple of times, but I'd already said my piece, what I was reading at his funeral to Neil, probably 10 times to his face in his coffin. So I'd already done it, and to do it to him on my own was the hardest thing. That was something that will stick with me for the rest of my life. And that was something that, if I'd done it to him, doing it to everyone else is easy. That was just.
Did you was too alone?
Yeah.
Wow. Fuck me. Did you break down?
The first time I did. Yeah. Yeah. I didn't get through it probably till about the 3rd or 4th time, and then I did it. I did it a couple of times. I needed to do it. I needed to see if I could do it. And then when I'd done it to him, it was like I'd been accepted by him to do it. So for me, it was the right thing to do.
How are the boys?
Listen, the resilient boys are resilient. Kids are. I think nowadays in 2022 with what people go through, it was the worst outcome for them in terms of life. They've got loads of support, loads of mechanisms to help them get through what they need to get through. But yeah, they're the young boys, aren't there? And they'll have lots of support. That'll continue. I think they've got a big circle of family. Rachel's got a big family. We've got a big family.
Yeah.
My girls, and they've got loads of avenues that we keep them busy. They're at an age where they're doing things themselves. Dylan's at an age where he's going to be thinking about another transition in his life, hopefully going into apprenticeship or getting jobs, and Jay's going into his final years at school. So it's good years for them to keep them busy. We'll make sure that they're in the right place, because Neil would demand it from me. So and for everyone else, so it is what it is. We've got to do it, because I can't do it because Neil would want me to do it.
What a family. I find your courage and strength inspirational, man. I've got to say, it's humbling. There'll be people hopefully watch this who are suffering with grief right now, and I hope they find some inspiration from you. I'm blown away, mate.
I listen to it, and I'm not here staying strong, and there's times in a day that I'll randomly break down. It might be a song on the radio, it might be something flashes up on it might be social media. Social media is great because it keeps you in it with what's going on in the world, but it's also bad when someone's also struggling and they post a picture of Neil and it hits you like a slap in the face, but then you know that you've got an opportunity to go and help that person with, are you okay, do you want to come meet for a cup of coffee, have a chat about your brother. It helps. I think it helps me, it helps them. It's win-win, you know. But it's interesting. Obviously, it seems to happen in a circle. People losing their lives, and obviously, Faz lost his life. Craig Farrell lost his life, and I reached out to Craig's brother. Didn't do it for any other reason, just to offer my help and support, and if he needed anything. And he's been really good for me, even though I reached out for him. You know what I mean? That he's there for me. We exchanged numbers. We've talked via messages, and we're going to meet up. And I think good comes from bad. And if I can help him, continue to help him, and he can continue to help me, I think it's going to help other people, because, you know what I mean, it'll help my kids because I'm in a better place. It'll help my mum and dad because I'm there to support them and be their mechanism as well, and help everybody else. I think it's really important that if anybody is struggling, that find that person who helps you, and because indirectly you're going to be helping them by talking to them about your experiences of what you're going through, because they might find a way of dealing with a certain situation. I think that's what the way that I've done it. You know, that there's certain things coming up that I know are going to get me. Father's Day got me, of course, you know what I mean, because I'm a dad myself, but he's a dad, and I knew that I had to do something and forget about myself at that moment. Christmas is coming up. It's a long time away, so don't worry everybody, but Christmas comes up, birthdays come up, and there's things that I know are going to come up, and there's hurdles I've got to go overcome, but I think I'm ready for them when they do come. I think I say that now. I probably won't be on the morning or when that happens, but you know, I know they're coming up, and they are a long time away. But I think as long as I build myself up and build my own strength up to get myself ready, because life's for living, and I know he wouldn't want it any other way for me. Because if I give up, I'm not just hurting myself, I'm hurting my 3 kids, his 2 boys, my mum and dad, and I can't do that.
What a fucking man. What a man you are, honestly. My admiration levels up there, mate. Choking actually as you're talking. Life does go on. You coach Middlesbrough Ladies now?
Yeah.
Tell us that journey.
I think I got involved for women's football by default. My eldest Kennedy got into playing for Norton girls and has had a journey into junior football. So I got into girls football, women's football by default. I've always had a desire to watch it from afar, because we watched women's games. We've been to Wembley to watch women's FA Cup final. We used to go and watch Sunderland Ladies when they had a really strong side. Yeah. A hero growing up with Steph Houghton. When she signed for Man City, we went to go and watch Man City a lot to go and see her. Yeah. And then the chairman, Ben Fisher, rang me. He rang me when I was doing a podcast. In fact, phone was going mental, so I was thinking, what's going on? I didn't understand what was going on, so I just said, "Can I ring you back when I finished? I'll be done in an hour." Rang him back, offered me the job. The manager had unfortunately lost a job on that afternoon, so he offered me the manager's job. And he said, "I do want an answer though by the morning, because we don't want it, it's going to have to go out there. And I thought about it long and hard in the next half an hour, 40 minutes. Talked me to my girlfriend at the time, it was a current girlfriend now, and I just said, it's an opportunity that I can't give up here. It's an opportunity that I want to see where it goes. It's a journey that I wanted to get back into at the right level. I didn't want to go into the level that I'd been at previously as a manager. Rang him back before midnight and just said, I'm in. And he went, that was quick. I said, something that I can't turn down and something that I want to see. So it's took off, we've evolved, we've had to take a step back to go 2 or 3 steps forward. We've done that. We're on a journey. I believe it's going to be a good journey. It's an interesting journey. Women's football's on the up, but it was on the up before the Lionesses won 2 weeks ago. But it's on an even bigger crest of the wave now. I think it's going to take off huge, and I think it's hold tight time for some of the girls, because I think the opportunities and the doors what are going to be opening, they can smash through them if they desire, and we can as a football club as well. I think. I love my job, I love my staff, I love my players. They know how passionate I am about them. I'll do anything for the club to get them where they need to be. And if my time comes to an end, sooner rather than later or long term, I'll do what I need to do in the time I'm the manager, you know, because I've got a passion to do it. I still get nervous before a game, standing in the touchline, picking my team, doing my tactics, because I lose control then. Once I send my team out, my control's lost, and I think with being a manager, that's something that I've got better with. I still get the nerves. I think nerves are good, but yeah, listen, we've got a big year this year. We play some big sides: Newcastle United, Leeds United, Durham. We've got some big sides coming to Stockton Town, which we've just moved to. So we're in a good place as a football club. In a good place. I'm excited. Exciting times.
It's nice. Coaching females, what's it like compared to, because you've managed obviously different levels as well, what's the difference?
They've got such a desire to want to get better.
Really?
They're so determined, they're so professional. They train 2, 3, 4 times a week plus a game on a weekend for nothing, some of them. The majority, and that's across the board. Women's football, you know, there's going to be a need to be a bigger influx in order to have more professional footballers to push the leagues up to be better. But no, listen, we train the standards that we train, the areas that we push them, we push their boundaries, we push them to another level, fitness wise, ability wise, skill wise, and they answer all the questions, tick all the boxes, and throw it back at us. So it's great, and long may that continue, you know, because if we're just helping them develop their football, as in a small level, increasing their friendship groups, letting them keep fit, brilliant. If we're helping them be a better footballer, pushing them onto another level, even better. You know what I mean? Listen, we want to do it as Middlesbrough Football Club. We want Middlesbrough Football Club to be the biggest football club in women's football. But I'm also realistic. At this moment in time, we're not, and we can't be, because of other teams being far greater, having bigger budgets, but we are where we are. And for me, if we can just keep improving and keep pushing in the right direction, we'll get where we want to be. And if we can get there quicker, brilliant. If it takes a longer journey, then I'm up for it, and I'm excited for it.
Love it, mate. Listen, I'm blown away. I've really enjoyed this morning.
Good, me too.
Thanks for your time.
My pleasure.
Absolute legend. Best wishes to you and your family.
Thanks.
God bless,
Cheers.
mate. Andy Campbell, thank you so much. Little Bricks Podcast. See ya.
Join the award-winning team at Bespoke Financial, where you get free training in your own time.